Hello all. Welcome to today's lecture. Let me share the screen. Yeah, so hope the screen is visible. So in the previous class, we discussed about the basics of the HTML. We saw example of HTML, right? Simple web page. How does a web page look like? Tags in different HTML. And also we discussed about a very interesting module that is the beautiful soup module, right? Which is actually like I said in the previous lecture, it is the module which is a Python package which is used to parse the HTML and the XML documents. Right. So basically, the beautiful soap module is used to extract the information from the HTML or the XML documents. Right. And then we can create objects to play with it. Right, so that's what we discussed in the previous lecture. So in today's lecture, we are going to go a little further and understand a few more interesting things. For example, as you can see on the screen, that the project that we are going to discuss here, that is you must be already aware of, right? Let me share the screen again. So, like I said, the project which you must have seen before, that is on your Google search engine, right? You must have seen a small tab saying "I am feeling lucky." Right, so this is one of the features that Google search engine has added to their web browser in order to enhance the user experience. So this particular feature here, that is I'm feeling lucky, is what basically does it. It uh, finds the data which is relevant to you and which might be interesting for you, and you can uh, view that data, view the whatever. It can be a website, it can be a YouTube video, or it can be a blog, depending on what are the things that you have already earlier searched in your web browser. So how it does, right? How basically this Google is able to operate this kind of "I'm feeling lucky" type of a feature in their Google search engine, right? So there are a few basic things which are there here. For example, what this particular feature, that is "I am feeling lucky" here, it does, right? What is the program behind it? How does this program gets executed, and how what are the different steps that it follows to make you feel relevant, uh, you know, information or whatever that you want to view on the web page? How is it relevant to you, right? So what does the program look like? So a program, this particular program, what it does, it gets search keywords, right, from the command line argument. Right? It retrieves the search page results, and then it is going to open a new browser tab for each of the results. So basically, what it does, it tries to get the data from your browser, depending on your history, right? It retrieves those search results and it opens the new tab to search those particular web pages, right? So if we have to code these things, right? If we have to code these things, how do we start? So like I said, first thing is to read from the command line, that is using the module system, right? And the method, that is argument, right? So we are going to use the command as sys.arg. So this will help us to read the instruction from the command line argument, right? The next thing is to fetch the results, right? To fetch the search results. So once we have this command line argument as the input, we are going to fetch the search result page using the request module, right? Which we have already seen. So once we have this search result page, we are going to find the link to each of the search. It can be a website, it can be a blog, right? It can be a particular company site or a portfolio site, or it can be a YouTube link. It can be anything, right? So depending on the search result page, it is going to find the link to each of these search. So once we have this link, we can now open a web browser to open that particular link using the method called the module called web browser, and the function for that, the method for that is open. Right, so we are going to call that web browser dot open function to open the web browser. So this is just the overview plot of how can we execute this feature of, I'm feeling lucky feature of Google search, right? So let us go ahead and discuss these steps one by one in detail to understand how do we go about it. The first thing that is reading the command line argument, right? So step one is to get the command line argument and a request for the search page, right? A request for that particular search page. So other things remains the same. The declaration of the Python, right? The comment. This is just the name of the file, that is lucky.py, right? And then most importantly, we are going to import all the modules that we are going to use. So since we are dealing with the command line argument, we have to import sys. We are requesting the site, so we have to import the requests module. We are going to use the browser, so we are going to import the web browser, right? And also most importantly, the BS4, which is the beautiful soap version 4 module, which is used to parse the HTML document, right? HTML or XML document. So what it does is this particular module BS4, that is beautiful soap 4, is going to extract all the information from that particular HTML web page. Right. So these are the four important modules that we are using, and the functions and the methods associated with these modules is what we are going to see here. Right. So for that we have to import these modules. So first things first, let's print some syntax to display text while downloading the Google page. Let's say googling, right? And then most importantly, we request the particular site. So right now we are searching on the Google website. So we request the http colon slash google.com slash search, and then whatever the argument that we have taken as the input, we are going to amend that argument with respect to the site. Right. So this is our requesting site that we are trying to get from for further processing. So once we have the site, we are going to retrieve the result, right? So how do we find all the results? Well, we are going to make use of this beautiful soap because it is going to extract that information, right? So we are going to retrieve that top search result links, right? So to do the instruction for that is, let's say we create an object for that. So is equal to bs4 dot beautiful soap res.text. So this particular instruction right here is going to extract all the HTML source, right? And then we are going to open the web browser tab for each of them, right? Once we have the extracted links, we are going to next open the web browser for each of the link, and then we are going to visit the site or whatever it is, right? Whatever that link is. So for that, we need to first open the web browser. So in order to open the web browser, we have the instruction that the link elements is equal to so select dot ra, right? And then num open, which is the object here, is equal to min 5 comma length link elements, right? So this particular instruction is going to help us to find the link and to open that link, right? And with this link, we are going to open the browser using the web browser dot open instruction here, right? What we have seen earlier, right? So this particular link, this particular instruction here is helpful for opening that link, and then whatever the link that we have extracted using the beautiful soap, that link will be opened in the new web browser, right? So how do we go about it further? We are going to, let me show you that once we open the browser, right. So when we open the browser, like how we manually do, we open a new, let's say, a new browser tab. We copy paste, or you might be typing that link if you know the link, or you might be copying the link of the site that you want to visit. You paste it in the web browser, and then you hit enter to go visit that site, right? So this is exactly what this particular program is also doing, but instead of manual doing, it is automatically extracting the link from your search history, right? And that link is used, the new browser is opened, the link is pasted in the new browser, and then the site is made available, right? So that's what this particular line of code is for. So that in that way, when you run this particular program, uh, this particular program will be embedded into that feature of, let's say, this I'm feeling lucky, that feature, right? So when you click on that, this program gets executed, and in the background, right, this all these set of tasks, sequentially taking place, right? Uh, Visiting the top search results, opening the link for those search results, copying those links and opening a web browser, and then making that link run on that particular web browser tab to view those sites. So that's how you know this particular feature has been included here, right? So basically, why that name? I'm feeling lucky because whatever the search results has been opened, they will be completely dependent. I mean, they will be exactly what you have searched earlier or similar search results. So, what this search engine is trying to do here is to grab your attention to the things which you might be interested in, right? So that's how they come up with the term like I am feeling lucky. Why lucky? Because the search results are exactly what you are interested for you, right? So that's about this interesting project. Similar one such project is, let's say, interesting project, not similar to what we have seen just now, not similar to I am feeling lucky project, but something which is interesting and can be automated. Correct. So, for example, I don't know whether how many of you are know about Xkcd comics, right? So, Xkcd comic is basically it's actually a you know, popular comic which is a combination of sarcasm and romance and maths and logics and those things, right? So, this particular comic, although there is no specific expansion or you can say full form of this XKCD, right? It is just a four-letter comic, right? So, though it is popular, but I'm pretty sure most of you must have not heard about this particular comic, XKCD, right? So, let me quickly show you that particular site, right? So, as you can see, this is the xkcd.com. This is the xkcd comic website, main website, and as you can see, it's very basic website. It looks very simple, right? But as you can see, there are simple some hypertext here, some very basic things. As you can see, some uh, comic diagrams made here, right? And very kind of not so usual representation of a particular website, a very basic website. So as I said, this particular website, this comic, it's a web comic of romance, sarcasm, maths, and language. So those who find these topics interesting, they can visit this site and explore more about this comic if you want to know. Right. So, anyways, I'll leave this site up to you. But as you can see, that basically the point here is to make you aware that how can we download these comics, right? How can we download these files from this comic? So, downloading all the XKCD comics is what we are going to see here, right? Using a program. So, what are the important steps for that? We are going to load the XKCD homepage, like I just opened the site, right? We are going to save the comic images, right? Let me show the website again. So there are different types of images as you can see for this particular comic, right? So we are going to save those comic images on that pages, and then we are going to follow the previous comic link, right? Why previous comic link? Because we have to reach to the first comic, right? In order to understand it. So we are going to follow the previous comic link, and we are going to follow again previous to previous like that repeatedly until it reaches the first comic. right? So that's how we are going to download the complete Xkcd comics, right? So how to do in a project, right? How to go about it in a code, how to code these things. Okay, so before that, this is just a diagram. As you can see, this is Xkcd, a web comic of romance, sarcasm, maths, and language. So I will leave this site up to you. But how to download these Xkcd comics using the code, right? We are going to first download the pages using the request module. We are going to find the URL of the comic images for page using beautiful soap, right? Why we are finding the URL of the comic image? Because we have to download it. We have to make the URLs available, right? We have to make the comic images. So we are going to find the URL of the comic images for that particular page. Then we are going to download and save those comic images, right? We are going to find using the again beautiful soap. It extracts the URL. Once we have the URL, we are going to download those comic images in our hard drive, like how we did, download saving downloaded files in the hard drive, right? In the beginning of this module. So we are going to use the same method. What we are doing here is whatever we have learned so far. We are going to compile those things to complete a full-fledged task, right? And then ultimately we are going to find the URL of the previous comic link and so on, repeat it until we reach the first comic, right? So in the program, this is the stepwise explanation of the program. First is to design a program, that is, we make the directory for the Xkcd comics. It's like creating a folder for Xkcd, right? Then we are going to download the page, find the URL, download the image, save the image to that folder, and get the previous link, right? So downloading the web page. So we are going to download the web page until we find the end of the URL, right? So until while we reach the end of the URL, we are going to simply download the page using the request.get URL, right? And we are going to extract the information using the beautiful soup, right? Once we have that, we are going to find the URL of the comic image, right? So how do we find and download the comic image? Let's say we create the object comic element equal to soap.select, right? So once we have this image, we are going to save those image and find the previous comic. How do we find the previous comic? That is using the image file, open using that link, right? And then previous link to get to the previous URL. So this will be repeating unless we reach the end of the, we can say the first comic. Right? So when you execute this program, this is the output that it will look like. Downloading the page, right? Getting to the image, the link, downloading the image for that, right, and storing it into the folder. So this is again an interesting, you can say, a project which can be helpful for you to do interesting things other than just downloading these things, right? So I hope that this session was also useful for you and you can think of similar such ideas to implement on your own. So, right, so with this, I shall conclude the lecture and we shall meet in the